I'm Rita Rutherford.
And I'm Jerome Rutherford.
I grew up on the west side of town in Geauga County, and then I went off to college and got a degree in special education, and I worked in numerous school systems, and recently in 2012 I retired after 26.2 years, which I totally loved, working with special needs children.
I grew up in Tennessee, eastern Tennessee. I was in law enforcement in Tennessee for 13 years. I have a Bachelor of Science in English. Then I went to work for the government and worked there for 23 years, and I retired in 2011.
I think our biggest motivation for volunteering is just to help people and just to pay it forward all the time. That's what life's about.
Yeah. When we first started, we toured the Haven, and after that tour, it was enough to put some fire under you to try to help people.
I found out about Neighborhood Alliance when I had been attending monthly networking communication meetings with various other nonprofit groups. And one day I happened to be sitting there enjoying my lunch, and Jadra happened to spill her lunch on me, and that's how it started with Jadra and I getting together with talking and finding more out about Neighborhood Alliance. And I think we started seeing the things that we have around our house we have so many abundant things, too many things that we don't use. They just sit in the corner or in the closet. So we decided that we were going to help become a very active volunteer with Neighborhood Alliance, and here we are. We love it because we've helped with numerous things. We've helped with making the Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners for the 400 homebound seniors in Lorain County.
Not to mention the gifts.
At Christmas time, the community donates gifts for various child care centers, the children at the Haven, there's the senior care boxes, and then once we had all the senior donations together, Jerome would well, I would fill up my car here at the center at Neighborhood Alliance, and then I'd bring it home. So the next day, Jerome would deliver it to the Haven where it belonged, and so he is our driver.
Yeah, a lot of times there was just room for me though. It was me and 500 presents.
Yeah. But it just gives us a warm feeling just to know that we could give to other people and really make a difference.
Yeah, and we've gotten the neighborhood involved too.
They'll call us on the phone and they'll say that they have some donations to drop off, and we'll say, okay, we'll open the garage door and open the back of Jerome's car, and we put it in there, and then we sort it and then tag it to let Gloria know what's inside.
I was actually there today. I took some things that one of the neighbors had left with us, and they were always happy, very happy to get anything. It really makes you feel good to know that someone else's belongings are helping somebody else live in life.
Well, there's this woman who I cleaned her house for her, and her name was Aunt Sally. And I started talking to her each time I would go and clean for her once a month, and I gave her a brochure about Neighborhood Alliance, and she wanted to know all about it. So the next time I came, she had 2 little bags for me. She had gone through her drawers and her closets, and she got some things out, and she said, now don't worry, next time I'll give you some more things. So the next month I went and cleaned for her, and again she had more bags for us, and she was just elated to know that this was going to go to someone else, because she actually gave me some money. So it was around Christmas time, and she gave me some money, and she said, now I want you to find a family or a child or somebody who really needs this money. and she said that she had wanted to go to the dollar store, but the weather had been bad, so she couldn't get out. So she gave it to me, and then I brought it to Neighborhood Alliance. But one time, in January, I got a phone call from Aunt Sally's daughter to tell me that Aunt Sally had passed away. And that was heartbreaking for me because she and I had become pretty close, and she was just a breath of fresh air. She never took anything for granted. She always had something wise to tell me, and she always asked about Neighborhood Alliance in the Haven every time I went to her house. And so her daughter had called us and told us about her passing, and she said that they were going to start cleaning out the house, and would we take donations and donate them for them. And we said sure. So this went on for about 2 months. And they live in our neighborhood too, so every time they would come home from their mom's house, they would stop at our house and load up our car, and then the next day Jerome would take it. So one day I went with Jerome, and we had quite a few things from Aunt Sally, and a lot of kitchen things, and this was the tail end because her house was going to sell. And so we took another carload over there, and so we start carrying things into the Haven, and the residents there, they always open the doors for us, or they help us carry things in. So I had noticed that once I was inside, I had noticed that Gloria had given this one woman, a younger woman, a box, and she was going through some of the things that we had just brought in, and she started putting in, there was a bag of silverware there, and I saw her pick it up and put it in her box, and I went about my business getting more things out of the car. And sure enough, it came time to fill out the paperwork in the office with Gloria and Sandy, and I pulled this woman aside. I took her by the arm and I said, I just want to share something with you, if that's okay. And she said, sure, what is it? And I said, I'll have you know that everything that is in that box was a good friend of mine, and her name was Aunt Sally. And I said she was 92 years old, and she just passed away a few months ago. And I told her, I said, I want you to know that you will have this guardian angel on your shoulder from now on, because Aunt Sally would have wanted it that way. She wanted to give back to other people, and she'd be so happy knowing that everything that you have there is an extension of her. And so by that time, this woman and I were both shedding a few tears of happiness and remembering Aunt Sally too, because that's what it's all about. And then when I went home, we called Aunt Sally's daughter to tell her about what had transpired that day, and ended up, Nancy and I shed a few more tears after that. But it was good because Nancy felt so good that her mom's spirit was still kept alive, and it's the paying it forward all the time, and that's why we do it. It's to see other people's happiness, and it's just the act of giving.
We took some coats. They were smaller sizes, and they weren't as heavy, I guess, as winter coats should be. And this man says, you don't have any large coats, do you? Winter coats? And we didn't. So
The next day,
yeah,
we went to the Salvation Army, or
no,
it was Volunteers of America,
yeah, there you go.
and it was happened to be half price day,
Yeah.
and we spent, maybe $50, but we ended up leaving with about 50 coats. And we made sure that we found some extra large men's coats, because that one fellow that had just arrived at the center did not have a coat. So, we looked for a purpose too, because we knew he really appreciated.
That's one thing that was close to me too, because when I was young, the only coat I had was a suit coat. It was cold. So my brother came home from the Army on leave and bought me a coat. So I can remember that. It's hard not having a coat.
We just want to say that not a day that goes by do we not think about Neighborhood Alliance, how we can help in some way. And when we get up in the morning, I'll say to Jerome, "So what are you doing today?" And he'll say, "Well, I have a load in my car. I'm going to take it to the Haven today." So, you know, we start out our day thinking about this wonderful group of people. And I say that because I have not found a more true, sincere group of people as I have found here in this office here in Neighborhood Alliance, at the administration office, and in all the outlets that are part of the Neighborhood Alliance. And I really mean that because I knew Lori many years when I lived in Avon Lake, and then lost touch with her, and now we're back in touch, and she's a big reason why I am involved with Neighborhood Alliance. It's just her personality, her desire and her drive behind what she does too, writing all the grants and volunteers. She sets up the volunteers for the 5K and all the fundraisers that we have, and it's wonderful working with her. And then there's Connie. She's awesome too, because she's out of her office. She'll come out and talk to me while I'm here sweating in this room because it's so hot and have to open the windows when I'm sorting things. And she'll just come and she'll thank me and tell me, you know, make sure you thank Jerome too, because she knows that I'll be packing up my car again to fill it so Jerome can drop it off or wherever it needs to go. So, and then there's Jadra, who's just, I'm so glad that your lunch fell in my lap, because this was meant to be. And this is a big part of who we are in life because of people like you. And we want our grandchild, we have a grandson who's almost 2 years old, and we want him to know, and we want him to grow up knowing that it is important to look out for other people who might not have what you have less what you have, and just to keep him more aware of what's happening. And believe me, he will be coming a few times when we start sorting and around Christmas time and things, especially when he gets a little bit older. But it's just a family here. And Roxanne at the desk, she's awesome. She's always on the phone or figuring something out, and everybody, Amy, and I forget other people's names. I apologize, but it's just like one big family here.
We're grateful.
We are very grateful.
Very.
That you accepted us,
Yeah.
and we've actually found our little niche in the world.
Yeah, I think we're honored for this, but we're also humbled.
Yes, we are. And we have two little sayings that we like to think of too when we think of Neighborhood Alliance. And we ourselves are into healthy eating, and we have a little garden at home and everything. And one of the little quotes that we like to talk about every once in a while is, it says, "Plant flowers in others' gardens and your life becomes a bouquet." And that is so true, because there's so many good things out here in this world, and like Jerome said earlier, something that doesn't mean anything to us means the whole wide world to someone else. That soup pop that we took to the Haven, I'll never forget that young fellow who, I think he was going to cook his macaroni and cheese in it. He was so excited about it.
I was going to do the tea.
Right. And the other quote that we have is by Helen Keller. And the best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. And we feel, all of you here at Neighborhood Alliance and all that you do, we feel it in our hearts, and we like to think that we carry that out for other people. And I'd like to make a challenge to everybody. I want you to see if you can think a little bit differently during the day. And if you're in the store waiting in line, and you know it's a long line and you're tired, but the woman in front of you is fumbling for something or to get things out of her cart, maybe help her, or the old fellow that's doing the same thing, or you never know. You never know what they're going through. That might just smile at them. That might be the first time during the day, the week, the month that someone's actually smiled at them and asked them how their day was. So we're challenging you to see if you could do some extra things. It's not even extra. It's just have a new outlook on life, and life is good. We're both healthy. We have a grandchild. We're retired. We can do what we want to do, and this is what we want to do. So thank you very much.
Yes,
We
thanks.
are very humbled by this honor too. So thank you very much.